Broadcasting from the deserts of sunny Arizona, you're listening to I've Got a Plan, hosted by Tim Fiskus, a podcast focusing on the two-player experience of Arkham Horror the card game. Join me as I take two investigators through a campaign, stopping along the way to talk tactics, strategy, and whine about the whims of the Chaos Bag. Let's have fun! Welcome back to I've Got a Plan. On tonight's episode, we are going to be heading into Dunwich Village for the Blood on the Altar, specifically the return to the Blood on the Altar. This scenario takes us through the city trying to find the key to the hidden chamber and the hidden chamber, and hopefully discovering some interesting and productive things down in the hidden chamber. No need to spoil anything just yet, though I'm sure that most of you watching this have probably played either Blood on the Altar or Return to Blood on the Altar. This is a terrific scenario, one of my favorites from the Dunwich Legacy cycle. I like a lot of the scenarios in this cycle, but this one's one of my favorites. So I like the hidden exploration. I like the fact that you've got a couple extra treachery cards coming at you. The enemies in this are interesting, and in the return to the Dunwich, return to the Blood on the Altar, we've got a couple new twists to things. So I'll talk about those in just a little bit. But before I do so, let me just take a moment to wrap up what happened at the end of Return to the Essex County Express. Daisy and Skids were able to get the engine going without losing either of their respective health or sanity pools. So they both made it without any trauma. Skids was able to make it past the coal car without any trauma. And we convinced the engineer to get the train moving, and we arrived on time to Dunwich, which means in this scenario, we don't start with any penalties. We only collected 2 XP from the Return to Essex County Express. For those of you that watched that episode, you'll remember that we got the, I believe it's the parlor car that is worth 1 XP, and then also the engine was worth an XP, and that was it. We didn't manage to kill any of the monsters that were worth a victory point. That's pretty much all that's available in that scenario anyway. I think there's 3 monsters worth something. Maybe, no, actually there might only be 1 in that one. Because there's the Night Gaunts, and they aren't worth anything. And then there's the Wizard of the Order. He is worth 1. Or is he? That's interesting. It's quite possible that there are... Oh, no, there are those emergent abomination things that come up. We had one of them come up in the engine car, but it was 5 health, and it was way beyond the pale for us to be able to beat at that point. So yeah, there are a few victory points available that we didn't collect, but that's okay. So let me talk a little bit about the changes that we made to the decks. Skids, before I tell you about his changes, I do have to make one quick apology for those of you listeners that are real sticklers on this kind of a thing. I play my campaigns for fun, and one of the things that I find fun is getting the chance to incorporate new cards that come out. So I don't have any problem when a new set comes out making a swap for a card that has come out so that I can give it a try. I don't just stick a 5 XP card in my deck, but I will swap out a level 0 or I will retroactively remove experience from my deck and add a different experience card so that the total experience amount is the same in the deck. But I really wanted to give the Hallowed Mirror a shot with Skids. So Skids has added a Hallowed Mirror into his deck. That is the new Guardian Mirror bonded card, which allows you to add some healing cards to your deck. With Daisy's low health pool and Skids' relatively low sanity pool, I wanted to try out the Hallowed Mirror to be able to shore up some healing mid campaign for us. And plus, a bonded cards sound like they're a heck of a lot of fun. So I have got the 3 Soothing Melody cards set aside here in my bonded cards. Spoiler alert, I guess, but for those of you who haven't followed the most recent releases. Shield your eyes, look away. But I did not swap that in with an adaptable. I did make my normal adaptable swaps, and then I added that one in just as a little freebie. My adaptable swaps were as follows. I took out a one of the small favors and the Lucky cigarette case, and I added back in 2 copies of Lone Wolf. And then in order to add in the mirror, I took out a flashlight. So my intention, I think, is to go ahead and put in another lockpicks at some point, but I didn't have the XP for that right now. And then my 2 XP that I did have available from that scenario went for upgrading a beat cop. So I went from a beat cop to a level 2 beat cop. Picking off whippoorwills in this scenario is a very valuable thing to do with your time. So that was Skids' upgrades. Daisy's upgrades were very simple. I didn't buy any. I'm saving Daisy's 2 experience for something a little bit more expensive. Hopefully after this scenario, if all goes well, we'll be able to have another 3 or 4 to be able to spend. So that is all for the deck changes heading into the Return to the Blood on the Altar. So a couple twists to this scenario that are not present in the Blood on the Altar is the presence of the hired gun. So here at the Burned Ruins, by the way, my location that did not make the cut for Blood on the Altar, there's always one of the locations that's not on the map at the beginning of the scenario, and that was the house in the reeds. That one got randomly selected to not be in this scenario. So you can see my location markers set up that show you how everything is kind of connected. The new village commons in the center has different connections than the original village commons does. So there's no more one-way connections. It's all two-way connections. And the new village commons reads, it is called the Silent Decay. Each investigator at Village Commons cannot draw or resource actions. So you can't spend an action to draw or take a resource while you're there. You can also resign while you're there. This is suicide. We're better off hiding out the night. So hopefully we won't have to resign there, but who knows? And we now have a hired gun chasing us around. There are 2 of the O'Banion gang that are after us. So if you remember back to my first scenario, I played the Return to the Clover Club as my first scenario. The house always wins. And the O'Banion gang had a bone to pick with me because I went there first, so I couldn't save Peter Clover. And that means the O'Banion gang is not too thrilled with my choices, and they're going to be present in this scenario. Right off the bat, I'm going to be having to deal with a hired gun who starts here in the Burned Ruins. The hired gun is a 3-fight, 1 evade, 4 health enemy who is humanoid, criminal, and syndicate. His special ability reads, each criminal enemy, including the hired gun, gains hunter, prey, most resources. So he's coming after the person with the most money, and he is a hunter. Each copy of Hunted Down gains Peril and Surge. So there's a couple encounter cards in the deck called Hunted Down, and they gain Peril and Surge. And with a nice little nod to George R.R. Martin, the flavor text says, the O'Banions send their regards. So in a very House Lannister, and I suppose that was... Oh, let's see if I can remember who said that. That was the Flayed Men. What is the Boltons? That was Roose Bolton that said that before. Probably shouldn't say anything else. Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones and for Arkham Horror. So, anywho, we are going to be chased down by the O'Banion gang in this scenario while we go about our business, trying to investigate things. I want to know how they got here. Certainly wasn't via train. And I think we're going to be about ready to start here. Let's talk a little bit about what we're up to in this scenario. Agenda 1A, Strange Disappearances. Your welcome in Dunwich has been cold. A string of disappearances has left the already aloof townsfolk on edge. Most of them look at you with distrust, and few are willing to help in your investigation. Who knows what will happen if you don't find the location of the missing townsfolk soon? Act 1A, Searching for Answers. The disappearances in the town may be related to the events in Arkham. You suspect that something awful is afoot. You must find where the missing townsfolk are being held in order to unveil this conspiracy. So the objective on Act 1A is that when an investigator enters the hidden chamber, advance. So essentially, Act 1A is going to be in play for a good portion of the scenario because we have to find the hidden chamber, we have to find the key to the hidden chamber, and then we have to enter the hidden chamber. So that can take a while. So I expect Act 1A to sit there on the table for a while. And we have a 6 doom threshold on strange disappearances. Now we have also created up here, I have a kidnapped persons deck. This is the missing persons deck. There are 3 potential victims here. One of them is Professor Warren Rice, who we could not locate at the Miskatonic University. And then the other 2 are Zebulon Whately and Earl Sawyer, both of whom are locals here in Dunwich that have been held captive as well. So, with that said, let's go ahead and draw us our starting hands and get our starting resources. I've got the 5 resources for both. And let's go ahead and draw Skids' starting hand. He is the lead investigator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are looking at a narrow escape. Move these cards a little bit so you can see them. A narrow escape, an intel report, okay. Another intel report, a scene of the crime, and a scene of the crime. Well, okay, these were shuffled. Now, scene of the crime I think is actually going to be pretty useful because you can use that with whippoorwills around. You can use that with any of the O'Banion gang around. This hired gun that is after us only has 1 evade, so Skids can get away from him pretty easily. So I could use this scene of the crimes as a good opportunity to get in and do some quick clue grabbing while I'm dealing with these hired guns. I'm going to throw back the 2 intel reports, but I'm going to keep both of the scene of the crimes. We're going to be trying to investigate, and that's going to be the name of the game up front. The narrow escape is a great card, and I'm tempted to keep it, but I really want to dig for my tarot. So I'm going to dig 1 more for my tarot, and I'm going to draw 3 new cards. So my 3 draws off the top of the deck are High Roller, glad to see that, an Enchanted Blade, and a Take the Initiative. All right, good. Got a weapon, got a little bit of boost, got a pretty good starting hand there. So scene of the crime, Take the Initiative, Enchanted Blade, and High Roller. All right. Let's go ahead and shuffle the rest of Skids' deck back together. No tarot, so I'm going to be relying on maybe getting a beat cop out in play or maybe a tarot later on. Daisy, I would really like to see her grab a crack the case so we can dish out a little bit of resources to Skids at the beginning. Well, let's see what she gets. All right, Daisy's starting 5 are Old Book of Lore, no problem there. A Crack the Case, awesome. A David Renfield, okay, we got a 6 doom threshold, so I like that. A Ward of Protection and Daisy's tote bag. Okay, well, the tote bag is not going to be in my starting hand. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But I definitely will keep the other 4. Old Book of Lore, Crack the Case, David Renfield, and Ward of Protection. Yep, looks good to me. So let's keep those 4, and we'll throw the tote bag back, and we will draw 1 more card off the top, which is a Mind Over Matter. Okay, that's an acceptable starting hand. With Daisy's intellect of 5, she can pretty much be off and running with investigation without needing to worry about too much in the way of spending setup. But I'll want to get that Old Book of Lore going ASAP. And I think that she and Skids are going to travel together to the first location because it will be smart to try and clear off with Daisy having David Renfield. I'd like those Crack the Case monies to go towards our buddy Skids. So, because he doesn't have any resource acceleration in his hand at all. So it'll cost him a lot to just kind of get this up and running. But that's okay. So here we go. Round 1. Investigation phase. I'm going to go ahead and start with Daisy. Let's Let's pick a spot to go to. Do I want to go to Bishop's Brook, the schoolhouse, or the Congregational Church? Ideally, I'd go somewhere that has a pretty high shroud. I'm going to go for the schoolhouse. If the connections here run up to the schoolhouse, and because the House in the Reeds isn't here, we have a little gap here between the schoolhouse and the Congregational Church. And the hired gun is going to have to come through the village commons, or over here through Bishop's Brook. So I think the best way to go is north. That keeps us away from the hired gun for now. And if he gets hunted down, he still won't be quite on us yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I will send, first action, I will send Daisy up to the schoolhouse. So the schoolhouse reads, 4 shroud, 1 clue. You cannot discover clues here except by investigating. Well, that's not the worst thing I've ever read. If there are no clues here, draw the encounter card underneath schoolhouse. Group limit once per game. Okay, so that every location is going to have that little thing on here, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to discover the cards that are underneath the locations, and you can only do that once you've emptied the locations of clues. So the schoolhouse rocks. No, sorry. So Daisy's there. This is a 4 shroud with 1 clue. Real easy, and it's going to be nice to crack the case on that one and get us 4 resources. So while my temptation is to go ahead and investigate that, that would give Daisy 4 resources. And I don't want Daisy with 4 resources, or I want Skids with 4. So we'll wait for Skids to come up there before I crack that case. And for my second action with Daisy, I will go ahead and play David Renfield, and I will exhaust him for, so 2 resources to play him. I'll take 1 back and add a doom to him. That is going to raise Daisy's willpower to 4. And I'm still sitting at 4 resources. That is a doom on the agenda, sort of. It's a doom that counts toward the agenda, but not actually on the agenda. And then I will go ahead and spend Daisy's third action to play an old book of lore, which is, of course, a great play. That costs 3 resources and will allow me to then take a free tome action this turn, exhausting the old book of lore and drawing the top 3 cards. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've got a Mr. Rook. That's tempting because I can use him to overwrite Renfield. I've got the Divermus Mysterious. This is really nice in this scenario. I think this is going to be very handy, but it's too early for this. This works on cards that are in your discard pile, and right now I don't have anything, so I'll let that go. And then I've got my upgraded Archaic Glyphs, the Prophecy Foretold version. That has 3 charges on it, and you can investigate it with an automatic evasion. Again, that is also really nice. But I think right now I want the Mr. Rook so I can get out of Renfield and I can push him a little harder. So let me go ahead and take Mr. Rook. I have not bought Charisma yet with Daisy, so playing Rook would just immediately kick out David Renfield. So that could be a nice way to just rid yourself of that doom sitting there. All right, so Mr. Rook has been added to my hand. Got a shuffle going there, and we move on to Skids' turn. All right, well, Skids is certainly going to follow Daisy up into the schoolhouse, and that'll be his first action. For his second action, I will go ahead and play the Enchanted Blade. And for, well, let's hold off on the Enchanted Blade. I don't want to drop the cash on that just yet because I want to be able to save some money for High Roller. So I'm going to go ahead and spend my second action to play High Roller for 2. And as a reminder, for those of you who aren't familiar with the card or who weren't watching my last couple episodes, High Roller is a talent card that allows you to get +2 to any test at the cost of 3 resources but if you're successful, you get the resources back. So it's a little bit of a push your luck kind of a deal. And I've spent 2 resources, leaving me with exactly 3. And then for my third action here, I'm just going to go ahead and what do I want to do with Skids here? I think I'm just going to take a resource. I'm just going to go ahead and take a resource, start stocking up for the future. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase. The hired gun is going to hunt. Now, the shortest path to the schoolhouse is either through the Congregational Church or Bishop's Brook. There are 3 ways to get there, going 3 locations. So I will choose to send him up to the Congregational Church. No, I won't. I'd like him to stick around in clue locations. If I send him to the Congregational Church, that means the next turn he's going to walk to the Village Commons. There aren't any clues in the Village Commons, and so with Scene of the Crime, I'd like to start messing with him in a location that has clues. So I'm going to send him around this way. So he's going to move to Bishop's Brook. And that is the end of the the enemy phase. So let's go ahead and reset. So Skids will take his actions back and draw an intel report. Okay, so again, good thing to save money for. And I could actually just buy this clue for $2, but Daisy's got a great chance of pulling that. Oh, by the way, we haven't actually talked about the Chaos Bag. Let's take a quick moment and talk about what the Chaos Bag has in store for us. The Blood on the Altar has a skull that is equal to -1 for each location in play with no encounter card under it. So right now it's -1 because the Village Commons does not have an encounter card under it. But that skull gets real bad as the scenario goes along. The Cultist, of which I have 1, is a -2. And the Elder Thing, which I have 1, is a -3. So all of those are, the Cultist and the Elder Thing especially, are bad to fail on. So it's not the best setup, honestly. And I cannot buy, I just remembered, I cannot buy the clue from the schoolhouse because it can only be gotten by investigating. So it's an important point to make. So I grabbed an intel report. I will grab a resource, and then Daisy will reset Renfield and the Old Book of Lore. She will draw a Moonlight Ritual. Okay, another way to get Doom off of Renfield. Though I am pretty sure, since I have Mr. Rook in play, I will commit that Moonlight Ritual for its icon to be able to successfully investigate this. So that's going to be likely what I'm going to do. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 2. Okay, so we are ready for the first Mythos phase. Bum, bum, bum. So 1 Doom on the agenda, and we draw with Skids. Oh, a Resurgent Evils right off the bat. Okay, so Resurgent Evils, I have to either take an Ancient Evils effect of just placing a Doom on the agenda, or I have to draw the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. I'll just go ahead and take the Ancient Evils. Not my favorite, but it is what it is. So, and then the second card, Daisy's card, is a Mobster. Okay. So we've got an enemy here. The Mobster has Retaliate. It is a 2/2/2, a Retaliate, and also now since the hired gun is in play, he also has a Hunter. Though it won't matter because he starts in play with us. You better scram, pal, unless you're hungry for boot leather and lead. Yeah. After he attacks you, lose a resource. All right, so he is engaged with Daisy, who doesn't really have too many great ways of handling him. Of course, there's always the whole evade him with mind over matter, but that just seems excessive with a mobster. So maybe we can find a way to dispatch him with a enchanted sword or something like that. If only I could find an enchanted sword. Wait, I found one. Okay, so back to the investigation phase. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do that. So let's see, Skids is sitting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. That is one shy of being able to play the Enchanted Blade and use High Roller. So it's a question of whether I want to just start swinging. I cannot use Scene of the Crime because, at least not here, because of the caveat on the schoolhouse that you have to investigate it to get the clue. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll spend the 3. Yeah, let's just make this successful. I'll spend the 3 resources with Skids to go ahead and put an enchanted blade in play. All right, this comes into play with 3 charges on it. All right, and I will go ahead and take a resource with my second action. I'm not engaged with the mobster, so I can do that. And then for my third action, I will go ahead and High Roller fight the mobster. So I would be fighting him at 5 to 2 using a charge on the blade, which I will do. And then the High Roller makes it 7 to 2. Okay, so that takes care of pretty much all the bad tokens except for the real bad token in the bag, but we don't talk about that one. And the token we pull out of the bag is a -1. Okay, so that is a successful shot. I get my High Roller money back. That's Skid's third action, and the mobster has been dispatched, leaving Daisy free to go about her business. So let's go ahead with Daisy and take a couple resources with David Renfield. What's my situation here? I'm at 3 out of 6. I'd be at 4 out of 6. I have 1 cancellation. Before I do that, let's go ahead and do my tome action and look with Old Book of Lore. So exhaust the Old Book of Lore. I'll just put the chip on it and draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. All right, I've got a Knowledge is Power. Always happy to see that. I've got the bad Necronomicon. I do have a good Necronomicon in this deck as well. And a St. Hubert's Key. Okay, that St. Hubert's Key answers my question, so I'll take the St. Hubert's Key. I will shuffle the other ones back in. It's very good. Okay. So I am now sitting on 2 resources. I need another 2 in order to be able to play St. Hubert's Key. I think I know where I'm going to get it. All right, so David Renfield. Get this deck shuffled up. All right, David Renfield is going to go ahead and exhaust and add a Doom to get me 2 resources. 1, 2. I still have not spent an action. I'm now at 4 out of 6 on the agenda, by the way. I'll need to fix that in just a little bit. But for action number 1, I will play the St. Hubert's Key for all 4 of my resources. And that is going to raise my willpower to 5 and my intellect to 6. All right, then for action number 2, I'm going to investigate the schoolhouse, and I will just investigate it straight up at 6 to 4. And I draw a -1. Okay, that was a little risky, honestly, but I got lucky. So that means I have discovered that single clue on the schoolhouse, and I will play Crack the Case. This is a great location to crack the case, so that will allow me to gain 4 resources, split as I wish among Daisy and Skids. So 1, 2, 3, 4 resources. I will give With a Renfield that I can ditch, I will give all 4 to Skids. I'm confident in Daisy's ability to make a little bit of cash back. Although I do have a Ward of Protection and a Mind Over Matter, both of which cost 1. No, I'm giving all 4 to Skids. Skids can get extra actions that way. I can keep my high roller going. Yeah, for sure. So as a thank you for chopping off the head of the mobster, Daisy will give Skids some of the cash she found underneath a pile of books in the schoolhouse. All right, and then Daisy's... now, we can trigger the encounter card underneath this. I'm tempted to do that. That's a fast action, so I'm tempted to do that during the fast action that takes place during the enemy phase. That keeps things from... if I were to draw an enemy from underneath the schoolhouse, then it wouldn't hit me. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait on that. And then for my third action, I'm going to move... yeah, what am I going to do? I want Skids and the hired gun to meet at the general store. So that's set up. So Daisy's going to move back to the village commons. I'm going to split up a little bit here. All right. And that is that for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the hired gun. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. Hold on, back that up. I was thinking the hired gun was going to go to the general store, but he's only going to do that if Daisy's not at the village commons. If she's right next door, obviously he's going to hunt to her. Okay, so she needs to stay put for one more action. So I will use that action to just take a resource. And then that's it. So they're going to stick together at the schoolhouse for right now. All right, enemy phase. Hired gun is going to move. He could move either to the village commons or to the general store. I will choose to send him to the general store as there's no specific instruction that breaks that tie, so I can choose to break that tie how I wish. And that is it for the enemy phase. So moving on to the upkeep. Skids will get back his stuff. And he will draw an emergency cache. Excellent. So Skids is starting to be flooded with resources, which is always what he wants. You're never going to be sorry for Skids having a lot of resources. So I'm going to trade that in for 2 3s. So I'm sitting at 8 resources right now with another 3 in hand. And then Daisy is going to get Renfield back and go ahead and get the old Book of Lore token back and draw a logical reasoning. Okay, logical reasoning will be nice. Nobody's taken any horror yet, so I can commit that for a couple willpower icons if I needed it to, and then get it back with Devermis. That would be the ideal situation. But I haven't drawn myself a Devermis yet, though Daisy's hand is looking pretty nice. Okay, and we are headed off to the Mythos phase. All right, so Doom 5 out of 6. Now, a little bit risky here. Daisy has a cancel, which she can use for a Resurgent Evils if it comes up. Skids does not. And Daisy's cancel, Word of Protection, is only a level 1, so she can't use that on Skids' card. So if Skids draws a Resurgent Evils, we're in trouble. Well, we're going to be advancing faster than we should be, and our meddling in the dark arts is going to come back and bite us. But if he doesn't, then we should be in the clear. So Skids draws... Ooh, Kidnapped. This is the one that's specific to this scenario. All right, test Willpower 4 or Agility 4. If you fail, add an ally asset you control to the pool of potential sacrifices. I don't actually have any allies right now. If you have no allies, take 2 damage and discard Kidnapped instead. Okay, well, that is just fine. So Skids will take the 2 damage. Feel free to kidnap David Renfield, by the way. All right. And then Daisy's card is... Oh, Whippoorwill. Oh, we love the whippoorwills. How fun. So the whippoorwill is aloof and it is a hunter, and it gives everybody -1 at that location. So -1 of all of their stats. So I'm going to go ahead and put him up here. I will be dealing with the whippoorwill this turn. 100% sure. If there's one thing that anybody learned from playing Dunwich Legacy the first time, is don't get ganged up on by whippoorwills. Your day will go badly. All right. Oh shoot! I forgot to do the encounter underneath the set. Well, let's just go ahead and do that now. So we're into the investigation phase, and I'll just go ahead and take a fast action, and let's look and see what's under here. I meant to do this during the enemy phase last turn, but I forgot. So let's do it right now. Okay, Unhallowed Country is what's underneath here. So this is not a special location. Revelation, put it into play in your threat area. Oh, I suppose I should have said who was going to be drawing that. That was Skids that did it. That's who it was going to be. Put Unhallowed Country into your threat area. You cannot play ally assets. Treat the printed text box of each ally asset you control as if it were blank. Okay. And I can test Willpower 3, and if I succeed, discard Unhallowed Country. Well, let me tell you what my chances of succeeding at a Willpower 3 test are. Not great. Though High Roller might be able to help out with that. But as of right now, I don't have any allies, nor do I have any in hand, so I could let that ride for a few rounds. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we need to move on and try to find one of the special locations. Let's go ahead and go first with Skids. Yeah, let's go first with Skids. I am going to engage the whippoorwills. And I'm going to take a swing at them with the enchanted blade. Now, I am not powering up the blade, so I'm just at +1, but I'm also at -1 because of the whippoorwills. So that's a total of being back to 3 to 2. And since this is my first action, I will play Take the Initiative on this. So no actions have been completed by any investigators this phase, so I will play Take the Initiative so that I can get a +3 on my sword swing. No empowering the blade, so I'm 6 to 2 on this attack. And the Chaos Bag says, oh my, -4. Whew, just barely. So let me make sure I did the math right on that. +1, +4 is 7, -1 is 6 to 2. Yeah, so that's right. So that takes care of the whippoorwills, just barely. For my second action. And then for my third action, I will go ahead and move into Osborne's General Store and engage this hired gun. All right, Osborne's General Store. From the air of hushed fright at Osborne's store, they knew that something hideous had happened. All right, this is a 3-shroud, 2-clue location. It allows you to take an action while you're here, spend a resource, search the top 3 cards of your deck for an item and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Okay, and if there are no clues here, draw the encounter card. All right, so that is 3 shroud and 2 clues, which is going to be just enough to snap up with a scene of the crime, if all goes well. So 3 shroud, 2 clues. And Skids will go ahead and pay 2 resources to take a 4th action, which I will use to evade the hired gun, just to try to avoid a little damage. So this is a pretty nice, pretty good odds on this. That is specifically 4 to 1. And the Chaos Bag says -3. Okay. How are you guys seeing that? Is that okay? Yeah, -3. All right. So that is a successful evade. So the hired gun is just evaded over here at the general store. All right. All right, so Daisy's first action. I think Skids has got that situation under control. So she's going to go ahead and check out with her old book of lore what her deck might dish up to her. 3 cards. Another old book of lore, a logical reasoning, and an inquiring mind. Okay, I'll take the inquiring mind. I don't need copies of the other 2. And I'll shuffle those back in. That's just fine. Okay, I think it's about time to bail out Renfield here. But I'm happy with my cards right now, so I'm not really feeling like Mr. Rook just yet. So I'm going to go ahead and play a Moonlight Ritual and just ditch Skids' doom, of course, once I go ahead and, or ditch Renfield's doom once I capitalize on his action. So I'll do Renfield's action. I'll put another doom on him, and I'll take 3 resources, putting Daisy at 4. And then for her first action, she will play Moonlight Ritual to remove all doom from a card I control, and that will be David Renfield. So that takes Daisy's willpower back down to 4, but that's a fine place to be. And that's action number 1. Action number 2, I'm going to move into the Village Commons. And then action number 3, I don't want to stray too far from Skids because I don't have a weapon. So I'd like to go to the Congregational Church and start exploring that direction, but let's go over here to Bishop's Brook. So Bishop's Brook reads, "One dreads to trust the tenebrous tunnel of the bridge, yet there is no way to avoid it." H.P. Lovecraft, The Dunwich Horror. All right, this is a 3-shroud, 2-clue location. If there is an investigator at Bishop's Brook, other investigators cannot enter Bishop's Brook. All right, so she's on her own here, but that's kind of okay. So we'll go ahead and put 2 clues there at Bishop's Brook. And then for her third action, I think I'll just go ahead and try to investigate one of those clues. I'd like to leave one of them there so I can get Inquiring Mind going on a bad test. So I'm at 6-3 on the test here, trying to get a clue at Bishop's Brook Bridge. And I got an Elder Thing. This is going to force me, sorry, I got a new light source here. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, there we go. All right, that is going to make me check the reference card here. Elder Thing, -3. If you fail, place a doom on the agenda. Okay, so I did not fail, just by the skin of my teeth, and I grab a clue. All right, and that was Daisy's third action. We did move. Oh, hold on a second. Move. Put that back. That's a cheat. I did not have a third action available to me. I moved twice. So Schoolhouse, I played the Moonlight Ritual, and then I moved twice, and that is it. That is a full set of turns there. So Daisy will have to grab that clue next round. And that is it for the investigation phase. So enemy phase, we don't have any enemies that are ready right now. So, oh, I also forgot to test Skids' Unhallowed Country. I'll test it. This will just be a 2-3 test. I don't have any choice. I have to do this test. So, this is tricky because if I draw one of those really bad symbols, I could be in trouble. But if I spend high roller, I could be throwing away money. So I will just test it straight up and hope for a normal fail. So this is a test of 2-3. Oh my gosh, I drew a +1. How about that? Unhallowed Country is gone. Wow. So I've been thinking about adding a Tennessee Sour Mash to Skid's deck for this kind of a situation. If I were playing the Circle Undone, I would almost definitely do that because of all of the cards that stick around in your threat area. But I'm not. I'm playing good old Dunwich. So that is it for that. So enemy phase, nothing happens. We reset. The hired gun is going to come back and engage Skids. Skids will draw a card, which is an Ace of Swords. Okay, well, I'll almost definitely want to get that into play. And I'll take a resource. Puts me at 7. And then Daisy will reset. By the way, we are at 3 Doom of 6 now because of Renfield being gone. Sorry, that was a bit of a mumble. We are at 3 Doom of 6 because of Renfield being gone. And Daisy's card draw is a Storm of Spirits. Okay, good. Something for her to attack with. That's good. And she will take a resource, which puts her at 5. All right. Let's go to the Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda, 4 out of 6. Skid's card is On Wings of Darkness. This is one of the Night Gaunt cards. Test Agility 4. If you fail, take a damage in a horror, then disengage from each non-Night Gaunt enemy engaged with you and move to a central location. So what this would do, if I failed it, is would rip me away from the hired gun and put me back in the village commons, which is not at all what I want. At all. Because I'm trying to pull off a scene of the crime here. So I will go ahead and boost this with High Roller. I'm going to try to take this test and get lucky. So I am at 4, 5, 6 to 4. I don't have any agility icons in hand right now. So 6 to 4 on Wings of Darkness. Whew, skin of my teeth again, -2. Okay, I get my High Roller back. That is, if you succeed, you get, yeah, okay, so, yeah. All right, man, High Roller is a great card. All right, so Wings of Darkness has succeeded. All right, Daisy draws a card, and she gets, a Kidnapped. Okay, so this Kidnapped is going to ask Daisy to try to keep David Renfield from getting kidnapped. I could cancel this, but I'm not so sure I want to. If David Renfield gets kidnapped, that's not the worst thing in the world. I've only got, I think, the one of him left in my deck. Yeah, I'll go ahead and test this. So I will use a logical reasoning. This scenario I don't think is too hard on the horror. So I'll use a logical reasoning, and I'm going to boost this check by 2. So I am at 4 plus 2 is 6 to 4. And it's the tentacle. All right. So I failed that check. So Kidnapped is going to go off. All right, add an ally asset you control to the pool of potential sacrifices. All right, so David Renfield is now a potential sacrifice. So I will unsleeve him, and I will mix him in to the pool of potential sacrifices here. So they stole my eschatologist. That's a new sentence. I've never said that before. All right, and that is, okay, so then attach Kidnap to the current agenda. When the attached agenda advances, choose a sacrifice at random. Okay, so Kidnapped is attaching to the agenda. All right, well, it is what it is. That gives me freedom to now put Mr. Rook into play and start searching for other answers. But honestly, right now, we just need to be searching for keys and chambers. So let's go ahead and go first with Skids. So Skids, action number 1 is going to be to play Scene of the Crime. Has to be played as your first action. I will spend 2 resources, putting me at 5. And I will discover 2 clues at this location because there is an enemy here. All right. So that clears off this location. All right, I have now used him all I need to use him. So I think I'm going to go ahead and evade him for my second action, because I would like to get out of here. I don't really have anything else I want to do here. Yeah, let's evade him for my second action, and that's a 4-1 on the evade. -1 is what I draw, so he is evaded. Okay, I will fast action go ahead and check out the card underneath right now. Daisy still hasn't gone yet, so I could deal with it if it's something bad. All right, the card underneath is Strange Signs. Test Intellect 3. If you fail, add 1 clue from the token pool to your location. Okay. All right. So adding clues to locations in this scenario is particularly bad because the difficulty of the final room is based on how many total clues there have been. So this is one we want to pass, though it's not one that I want to pass bad enough to toss a intel report. So if we get a clue here, we get a clue here. I can stick around and scene of the crime again next turn if I need to, I suppose. But let's just test this. 3 to 3, not adding anything. And I drew a skull. I'm just trying to figure out the math on this. That is a minus a bunch. -3? Yeah, -3. All right, so that's a fail. So Skids will have to place a clue from the token pool at this location. And now, I don't really need to get that clue. There's no reason, there really is no reason for me to get that clue. This is just essentially leading up to the final battle. I've already checked the card underneath there, and it's not what I'm looking for. So that's 2 down, 3 to go. And then for my third action, am I going to move out of here, or am I going to play something? I really don't want to spend my enchanted blades to deal with this hired gun, mostly because the hired gun is kind of nice to have around with another scene of the crime hanging around. It wouldn't be bad to let him just kind of chase me. In fact, I might want him to just go ahead and chase me to Bishop's Brook. Yeah, I do. So, that said, let me go ahead and spend my third action to just play an emergency cache. So I'm going to play that for 3 resources, putting me at 8. And I'll stick around here. Yeah, that's that. Okay, Daisy, who is going to give way to Skids down in Bishop's Brook, because that's a great location for him to be able to scene of the crime. She's going to go ahead and scoot over to the burned ruins. They can't be at Bishop's Brook together, so she needs to clear out. But first, let's go ahead and look at the old book of lore and see what it gives us today. 3 cards. Another old book of lore, a ward of protection and a mind over matter. I'll take the second ward of protection. Yes, I will. And shuffle the rest of this up. Okay, it doesn't really change anything there. I think, so the downside, of course, to playing Mr. Rook is that he could get kidnapped, but we've seen 2 kidnapped cards already. I don't remember if we reshuffle the discard pile on the agenda flips. Really don't want to lose Mr. Rook if I can avoid it. I don't need the soak right now, and my hand is pretty good. I'm just going to let it ride. Let's go ahead and move with Daisy. We're going to slide over here to the burned ruins. They are connected, yep. And the burned ruins says, it is not reassuring to see, on a closer glance, that most of the houses are deserted and falling to ruin. All right, the burned ruins is a 2 shroud, 3 clue location. Now, interestingly, we have not yet had one of randomly come up any of the return to Blood on the Altar locations. After you fail a skill test while investigating the burned ruins, flip a clue token on it to its doom side. If there are no clues here, draw the encounter card. Okay, so that's fine. 2 with 3 clues on it means I can go ahead and investigate twice and still have an inquiring mind up and running. So I will do that. Let's just go ahead and try to grab a couple clues. So action number 2, investigate at 6 to 2. And Daisy pulls out a -4. Ooh, boy. I'm just hitting these right on the nose, huh? So that's a clue. Action number 3, 6 to 2 again. And we pull out a -2. Okay. I need to keep in mind that these skulls are now -3. So that is making the chaos bag quite a bit tougher right now. So Daisy's got herself 3 clues, but has not cleared that location yet. And that is the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens. We go to the upkeep. The hired gun is going to stand back up and re-engage Skids.
You think got away from me, huh? Well, take this, wise guy.
And then the high roller resets. And we draw a lockpicks. Okay, that's good. That'll be particularly good in the final room. Speaking of which, I am, fingers crossed, I would really like to try the Necronomicon thing in the final room. I've only gotten the chance to do that once. There's a special ending that you can get if you happen to have the Necronomicon on you. So I think Daisy might be playing a Mr. Rook just to be able to search for that if I don't dig it out with the old book of lore. So, side note there. And then I'll take a resource with Skids, putting him at 9. And then Daisy will reset. And she will draw. Oh, crack the case. Okay. Not the best place in the world for it, but it's a couple resources. And then she'll take a resource, which I will go ahead and exchange for a 3. So she's got 6 now. Daisy's hand reminder, we have 2 Ward of Protections, a Storm of Spirits, a Mind Over Matter, a Mr. Rook, an Inquiring Mind, and a Crack the Case. So that's 7 cards in hand for Daisy. And then Skids has a Intel Report, an Ace of Swords, a Lockpicks, and a Scene of the Crime. So I'm thinking I might save my Intel Reports to go ahead and grab some clues out of the final room quickly. But we'll cross that bridge when we, cross Bishop's Brook Bridge when we get there. And we're off to the Mythos phase. Doom, 5 of 6. Skids encounter card. Resurgent Evils. Okay, so do we want this to go? See, it couldn't be Daisy that drew this. It has to be Skids, right? So I can't cancel it. So I want to draw 2 cards, or do I want to go ahead and advance the agenda? Being in the witching hour doesn't really do me a lot of good right now. I'd have the kidnapped effect, but that's going to happen either way. I'm a little ahead of the curve, I think, on investigation. I'm going to let this resolve. So we will go ahead and advance to Agenda 2A. So let's go ahead and deal with kidnapped first. When the attached agenda advances, choose a potential sacrifice at random. I'll go ahead and shuffle these up and place it under the agenda deck. All right, so that sacrifice is under there. And then kidnapped is discarded because the agenda that it was attached to advanced. All right, and then I'm going to advance to Agenda 1B. Agenda 1B. First Blood. Whippoorwills gather along the gambrel roofs of Dunwich and begin to shriek in jubilation. The people of Dunwich believe that the presence of whippoorwills foreshadows somebody's imminent death. Do they long for your death, or is the victim someone else? If there are 3 or more potential sacrifices, choose one of them at random and place it under the agenda deck. All right, there are 3 or more. There are exactly 3, as a matter of fact. So we're gonna go ahead and mix them up. And we'll put this one here underneath. No Peking duck. All right, and then that is gone. And we do not shuffle the encounter deck into the discard pile. That's good, actually. All right, and then that was the Skids Mythos card because I drew the Resurgent Evils. Did I put that back? Yes, I did. Okay, and then Daisy draws an O'Banion's Thug. Okay, well, could they draw these things the other direction? That would be helpful. All right, so the O'Banion's Thug is a 4/2/2, 4 fight, 2 evade, 2 health enemy. While he's engaged with you, you cannot gain resources. Are we going to have a problem here? He deals 2 damage, which is bad news for Daisy. So I think she might just Storm of Spirits this guy. But let's go ahead and get him engaged with her. And that is the Mythos phase. Boy, that Mythos phase would have gone a lot better if I had swapped their enemies. But that's that. So let's go ahead and... who do I want to go first with here? I'm going to be setting up with Skids because I want to try to get the scene of the crime on that Bishop's Brook. Okay, so the best way to do that is to just take an attack of opportunity. So I am going to move down to Bishop's Brook for my first action with Skids. So I'm going to move down to Bishop's Brook. That will trigger an attack of opportunity from the hired gun, who will hit me for 1 damage and 1 horror. I haven't taken any yet, so horror that is. So that puts me at 3 of 8 and 1 of 6. And then for my second action, I will evade him, since I can't play Scene of the Crime as my second action. So I will evade him at 4-1. I'm not going to be taking any more tests this turn, am I? No, I'll go ahead and high roller this test. So 4-1, make that 6-1. I drew a 0 out of the bag, so that is a successful evade of the hired gun. Get my money back from high roller. And then for my third action, I'm going to go ahead and play the Ace of Swords. So let's go ahead and get that into play. I'll just set that, scoot this up just a smidge. Put that right there. Is that in camera range? Yes, it still is. Okay, good. All right, so the Ace of Swords is going to give me +1 to my fight. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that with a die. So I'm at 4 fight. All right. The high roller was used. And then, let's see, that was my third action. Cost me 3 resources for that, leaving me with 6 resources. Okay, that sounds good. And I will not pay for another action with Skids. I'm good with that situation. All right, Daisy is going to go ahead and blow some dudes up. So I'm going to spend my first action to play Storm of Spirits. So this attack uses willpower instead of fight. If you succeed, instead of its standard damage, it deals 2 damage to each enemy at the location. So that's fine. I will go kaboom. And this is going to be a 4/4 unless I boost it. Excuse me. But I will boost it with an Inquiring Mind. So that will be a +3. So I'm at 7/4 on this attack. And the token out of the bag is a -1. All right, so Storm of Spirits was successful. That cost me 3 resources, putting me at 3. The Inquiring Mind is gone. And the O'Banion's Thug is dispatched. Okay, so then Daisy will use the Old Book of Lore for her second action. By the way, as a little rules note, even though Daisy's extra tome action that she gets every round is not one of her standard 3 action, it is an action, and so it would provoke an attack of opportunity, which is why I didn't do that first. So let's go ahead and check the top 3 cards. Really want the Necronomicon is what we want. All right, another St. Hubert's Key, a deduction, and Daisy's tote bag. I'll take a deduction. Let's keep that. It's a nice thing to keep in the back pocket. All right, and then for Daisy's second action, I'm going to investigate at 6-2. All right, investigating at 6-2. And we've got a 0, so that's successful. So that is the last clue on that location. I'll go ahead and crack the case here as well. So crack the case comes up and it gets me 2 resources, putting me back to 5. I will wait till the enemy phase to look at that card, though it does have a 1 in 3 chance of being bad and 2 of 3 chance of being good. I've just talked myself into looking at it right now. I'm going to look at it right now. There's just no sense in it. I'll wait. For my third action of the round, let's go ahead and play Mr. Rook. So Mr. Rook is going to go down here, and he comes into play with 3 secrets on him. Let's go ahead and swap him and St. Hubert's Key here for space purposes. All right. And I will use his free search your deck ability. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and go 9. I am part of Team 9 here. We've talked about this in my prior episodes, but I think I'm going to draw 9 cards. If I get a weakness, I get a weakness. In fact, if I get chronophobia, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal since I haven't taken any horror yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm digging right now for the Necronomicon. That's what I would like to get. All right, Daisy's tote bag, premonition, the Necronomicon. Beautiful. I'm going to keep that almost certainly. The archaic glyphs, knowledge is power. Chronophobia, I'll probably keep that. Deduction, the other Necronomicon, which I will not keep, and I've got a plan. Okay, so that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I only have to keep one of the weaknesses. I select one, right? Draw one of them as well. Okay, so I will draw the Chronophobia. And shuffle the rest up here. All right. So Daisy puts the Chronophobia into play. And at the end of her turn, which is right now, she will take a direct horror. 1 of 9. But now I'm set up with that Necronomicon to be able to hopefully pull off the special ending in the final room. That would be exciting. So then let's see, that is it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens. And we move on to upkeep. High Roller comes back. Skids draws a small favor. Okay. I kept one of these in the deck because I felt like this would be a great card for dealing with whippoorwills, just to pick them off from a distance. And then I'll take a resource, putting me at 7. And then we're going to reset with Daisy, who'll get her Mr. Rook back. Reset her old Book of Lore. And draws another Mr. Rook. All right. And I'll take resource number 6. I don't think I should have 6 resources. I think I didn't pay for Mr. Rook. Or did I? Let me think about that. Yeah, because I played Storm of Spirits. I did not pay for Mr. Rook. So I should be sitting at 3 resources right now. Oh, no, but I got the crack the case. Wrong. I am at 6. I got 5. Paid down No, 6, paid down 3 from, how, this, yeah, Storm Spirits cost 3, puts me at 3, then I went back up to 5. Played Mr. Rook. Nope, I should be at 3. Yeah, because I spent 6 and gained 2, so there's no way I'm back that high. All right, so I'm at 3. Okay, and let's go on to the Mythos phase. I just realized I forgot to check Daisy's location during the enemy phase, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. There is a skill test window in the Mythos phase as well. At least I think so. Let me just double check that. Sorry, during the upkeep phase, there is a player window. I'll just do it then. So, Daisy is sitting on top of the key to the chamber. All right, she takes control of this. So I'll go ahead and put that there in her play area. So I've got the key. Now I just have to find the chamber. The chamber is either under Bishop's Brook Bridge or it is under the Congregational Church. So we will find that out soon enough. Mythos phase, Doom 1 of 6, and we draw with Skids. Eager for Death. All right. This is a 5. Eager for Death indeed. Too many of these and Skids will just be flat out dead. Test 5 willpower. Increase the skill difficulty by 1 for each damage on you, so that's 5. So I will take 2 horror if I fail this. That's bad. Okay, so I'm at 2 to 5. I have nothing to do to boost this, so. I failed it with a skull, so I failed it all kinds of big. And I take 2 horror, putting Skids at 3 of 6 horror. Yikes. Always an issue, isn't it? I might have to draw a little bit and see if I can't find that mirror or the amulet. Okay. Daisy, her Mythos phase is a Hunting Night Gaunt. Okay, it's always got to be... Daisy's been sitting on these 2 Ward of Protections for how long? And she keeps drawing enemies. All right, Hunter, when attempting to evade him, double the negative modifier of each revealed Chaos token. So he is a 3-4-1. So, yeah, that's a problem. No doubt about it. I can deal with this guy. I have to deal with this guy. Can't cancel him. So he is sitting here in my back pocket ready to hit me. So that said, Skids is now back engaged with this hired gun. And we suddenly find ourselves with a lot to do. So let's... Yeah, I've got a plan, says the guy who runs that podcast. Let's go ahead and start with Skids and Scene of the Crime. So action number 1 with Skids is to play Scene of the Crime as his first action. Does not trigger attacks of opportunity. Costs 2 resources, leaving me with 5. And discovers the 2 clues at my location. All right, that puts me at 4 clues. All right, and then I've got a 50-50 chance of this being the chamber. I would be very happy if it were. But right now, I can't really afford to find that out. So I'm going to... I think I'm going to go ahead and try to pull in a bit of a small favor here. I don't want to deal with this hired gun anymore. He's outlived his usefulness to me. So, action number 2, I'm going to use a charge off the Enchanted Blade, and I'm going to attack this guy. So I am at 4 base skill with the Ace of Swords, plus 2 from the Enchanted Blade is 6 to 3, and I will go ahead and high roller this to go 8 to 3. And I'm just going to go ahead and start slicing at the hired gun. All right, 8 to 3. I got a -2, so that's successful. So the hired gun takes 2 damage from the enchanted blade. Okay, and then I get my $3 back from High Roller. Do I just small favor this? I think I might. He is not elite. I would take an attack of opportunity to play small favor though, which takes me another horror. I'm not nuts about that plan. I'm just gonna smack him with another shot with the sword. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit him again with my last sword charge, and that is gonna be a total of 6 to 3. -1. Okay. Whew. All right, so the hired gun goes down. None of this stuff is worth victory points, by the way. And that was a scene of the crime and then 2 slices with an enchanted blade. That is 3 actions. I can now afford to sink a couple damage into the Night Gaunt with small favor, but I think I want to save my money there. Daisy can get out of this trouble at least a little bit. So Skids is going to take a fast action, and check the card underneath Bishop's Brook's bridge. If this is the chamber, then that changes my plan with Daisy. So it is the hidden chamber. All right, very cool. So now I don't have to check the Congregational Church. Okay, so the hidden chamber is placed into play. It is attached to the location that it came off of, which is Bishop's Brook. Now Daisy can't come there while Skids is there. It's a bit of a pain, but it is attached there. The door to the hidden chamber is locked. You cannot enter the hidden chamber unless the key to the chamber is attached to the hidden chamber. All right, which of course Daisy has, and she can only attach it, I think, if she is at the Bishop's Brook. Okay, so we got to do a little bit of shuffle here. So Skids is going to just take a second and step out of Bishop's Brook to let Daisy step in. So I will spend my 4th action here and 2 resources to be able to let Daisy get in there. So she will. I will send Skids up to the general store, and that is it for Skids. Daisy, who is sitting here looking at a Night Gaunt, not thrilled about that situation. Now, I'm gonna dig for I've Got a Plan, because I have the cash to play it, and that would just deal with this Night Gaunt just flat out. So let's spend Mr. Rook's action. No, before we do that, let's spend the Old Book of Lore. Yeah, Old Book of Lore. I've got the chip on it instead of exhausting it, and let's look at 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've got a Knowledge is Power, a Dr. Henry Armitage, and a Old Book of Lore. All right, well, I don't need the Old Book of Lore. The Knowledge is Power is, of course, very interesting, as it always is. The 2 wild icons are really nice, too. That's what I'm debating here with Dr. Armitage. Yeah, I don't have an immediate obvious use for the Knowledge is Power, I don't think, right now. No, I don't. Soon, but not right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Dr. Henry Armitage for the 2 wild icons and shuffle the deck. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a deep dig with Mr. Rook to try to get a I've Got a Plan. That is probably going to draw me my Necronomicon, but that's okay. I do have 1 hand slot to spare. All right, and then I'll spend Mr. Rook and a secret to be able to look at the top 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see what we got. Oh, look at that, right off the top. I got a plan. Okay, so I'll be keeping that. And then the second card was the Necronomicon. Okay, well, there they are. Divermus, Premonition. I just got to look at everything else to make sure there's anything else that jumps out at me here. Nope. Okay, so let's go ahead and shuffle the rest of those in. All right, so the Necronomicon goes into play in my other hand. And it is going to come into play with 3 horror on it. And I can't draw Elder Signs. My Elder Signs are auto fails, so. Could be worse, but not much. But the good news is I pulled the I Got a Plan out of my deck, so I can go ahead and use that. Action number 1, I will use I've Got a Plan in order to attack the Hunting Night Gaunt. So this is an attack at 6 to 3 using intellect. I will commit one of my Ward of Protections to this because I haven't been using them and I need to pass this test. So there is a -4 in the bag. And in fact, the skulls are also -4 right now. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The skulls are -5. No, what's their max is -4, right? Yeah, the max is -4. All right, so I need to be 4 up. So I'm gonna go ahead and ditch a Ward of Protection to go 4 up. So this is a 7 to 3. All right, Chaos Bag, don't fail me now. And I drew a 0. All right. So that means the Hunting Night Gaunt is dispatched. Come on, I want a VP for that. I've Got a Plan, which is paid for with my last $3, is gone. And I'm now free to go do other stuff. So for action number 2, I'm going to move into, move back into the Bishop's Brook. And attach the key to the chamber to the hidden chamber so that we can move in there whenever we're ready, which is going to be soon. No need to dawdle. And then action number 3 will be what? I want to get this Necronomicon into play next turn, so I'm going to need 2 money for that, so I will take a buck, take a resource for my 3rd action. And that's the investigation phase. Whew, that was close. As it always is with Skids and Daisy. And then enemy phase, we have dispatched all of the enemies. So let's go ahead and reset. All right, Skids will draw. Oh, an Elder Sign Amulet. Good timing on that, Mr. Skids. In case that starts to get iffy with another one of those eager for deaths. And I will draw, take a resource, putting me at 4. All that money I had is mostly gone now. As it goes. And then Daisy will reset. And I know she's not going to draw a weakness because those are both in play right now. And her draw is the good archaic glyphs, the one that I've upgraded. So that's nice. That's a spell. I can use that spell with Knowledge is Power. I didn't keep a Knowledge is Power, but if I ever get one, I can use that. So that's a pretty cool little combo there. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 2. All right, Mythos phase. Doom, 2 out of 6. Skid's card is a mobster. All right, he gets a little 2/2/2 mobster. Who, by the way, does not have Hunter anymore now that there is no more of the mob bosses or whatever those guys were called, hired guns. So he's just a regular, no special abilities, no Hunter or Prey. Keywords, he does have Retaliate. So that's less concerning to me right now. And then Daisy will draw a whippoorwill. Of course she will. Okay. So that's aloof and hangs out as they do at the final location. All right. That'll be, Skids will deal with that. All right. Here we go. So, action time. Oh, Daisy did not take her chronophobia at the end of last turn, so I'm now at two horror, 2 out of 9. Sanity. Okay, so now I can move into the chamber anytime I want, which will advance the act. I think I want. Daisy she's free to do her thing this turn. So let's go ahead and Old Book of Lore first. Oh, actually, you know what I might want to do? Yeah. Let me, I don't want to do Old Book of Lore. I'm going to spend my first action to play the Necronomicon over the Old Book of Lore. So now I have 2 Necronomicons. That's got to be good, right? So Old Book of Lore hits the discard pile. Daisy's intellect then now goes up to 7. So between her 5 base and the St. Hubert's Key and the Mr. Rook, we're sitting at 7. So let's go ahead and mark that. I will take my tome action to gain 2 resources. So I spent 2 to play the Necronomicon. I gained 2, so I'm back at 2. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to have the cash to be able to play Mind Over Matter or to be able to play a Word of Protection when it comes to that. And I wanted the +1 intellect for investigating. So now Daisy will go ahead and... Do I move into the hidden chamber now? Yeah, no time like the present. So let's go ahead and move in. And we advance. All right, Daisy is now in the hidden chamber, and we advance to Act 2A, or 1B, 1B. What was hidden? You find your way into the hidden chamber where you believe the missing folk are being held, but the horrors that confront you there fray the edges of your sanity. Bound by chains in a secluded corner of the room is an unspeakable creature with the face of a man. It wheezes and wrestles to free itself as it notices your entrance. The many mouths covering the creature's body are covered in blood and gristles of meat as though it were feeding recently. With a hideous croak, the creature speaks with 7 mouths. Seth? Then it lurches forward as though to grab you, and several of its chains snap. Reveal each unrevealed location. All right, the Congregational Church is the only unrevealed location. And the Congregational Church reveals a 1 shroud 2 clue location. All right. Oh yeah, we haven't seen those servants of many mouths come up yet. That's interesting. Who knows? Maybe we'll see one soon. Then move all clues in play, including those on each investigator, to the hidden chamber. So that is 4 clues on Skids, 4 clues on Daisy, and 3 clues out and about in the world for a grand total of 10. 11 clues. Okay, 3, 6, 9, 11. All right, so there are 11 clues on the hidden chamber. I'm just going to spread them out here. Put the set-aside Silas Bishop enemy in the hidden chamber. Spawn him in the hidden chamber. All right. Silas Bishop. Okay, Silas Bishop is a massive monster abomination elite enemy with 3 fight, 12 health, and 7 evade. He is massive. He cannot make attacks of opportunity. The quote on this is fairly interesting. What walked on the mountains that May night? What rudeness horror fastened itself on the world in half-human flesh and blood? H.P. Lovecraft, The Dunwich Horror. So this is a Victory 2 enemy who is spawning in the hidden chamber. So he's spawning right over here. He cannot make attacks of opportunity. So he can only attack during the enemy phase, but he packs a wallop at 2 and 2. But we're just trying to grab all the clues if we can. So, Act 2A, the Chamber of the Beast. The pitiful beast lunges to grab you with slimy arms, its many jaws snapping in hunger. Killing it would be merciful, but perhaps there is something else to discover about this creature. So we have 2 objectives. Number 1 is to defeat Silas Bishop, which is Resolution 1. Or number 2, if there are no clues in the hidden chamber, advance. This is going to be my shot. I'm going to try to get all of the clues out of the hidden chamber and just try to weather the storm that Silas brings. So Daisy's going to spend her 3rd action to go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and do Mr. Rook first. So there are no weaknesses in my deck, so I'm going to search 9, of course, because Mr. Rook is going to be my first casualty of Silas Bishop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards, and I'm looking for something that will help me. Hopefully something to help me get clues or avoid trouble. All right, a deduction is good. That gets me a clue. Let's see. Knowledge is power would let me do the archaic glyphs if an enemy showed up. That's not bad. Oh, logical reasoning could help bail Skids out, but now that I've got the amulet, I'm less worried about that. Banish. That's interesting. Be good on a whippoorwills, but it's tough to pull off against a whippoorwills. Yeah, not for Daisy, not right now. Divermus is a tome. I don't really have a hand slot for tomes. I already have a Mind Never Matter. Yeah, I'll take another deduction. Oops. And I will hope that between Daisy's persistent investigating, Skids can get in there with a lockpicks maybe, and a little bit of cash plus an intel report can grab some clues. So we'll see what we can do. Skids has got some enemies to deal with first, though. All right, and then Daisy will go ahead and take her 3rd action, and I'm going to double deduction this, and I'm going to go looking for some clues. So I'm investigating this at 7 to 3. Oh, you know, with my other Necronomicon in play, let's split these deductions up. I'm going to go 8 to 3. No, I'm not going to play either deduction. Here's why. The worst I can draw out of the Chaos bag, other than the auto fail and the Elder Sign, which for me is an auto fail right now, is a -4. The skulls are -4, and there's a -4 in the bag. So if I'm 4 up, which is what I am before the test, then I don't gain anything by playing the deductions, and so I want to save those deductions for the last hurrah, because if I go all my eggs in one basket, I have 2 tentacles in the bag. So I'm just going to do a regular old investigate here at 7 to 3. And I pulled a 0, so the math says, screw you, Tim. So that's that. That is the end of Daisy's turn. She will take the Chronophobia, which is a 3rd horror. All right, Skids. Let's go ahead and just try to ditch this mobster. I'm going to evade him for my 1st action, and I will do that at 4 to 2, and I will toss the high roller in on this check. So that's going to be 6 to 2. That was 3 of my 4 resources toward the high roller, so hopefully I don't fail this. But 6 to 2 is good odds. and we pull a Elder Thing token, which if I believe is -3. Yes, it is -3. So that is a pass on evading the mobster, who no longer has Hunter. And I get my 3 resources back. I am going to move down into the Bishop's Brook because there's nobody there now. I can move down in there. The whippoorwills are hanging out at this location. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spend a small favor to just deal a damage to a non-elite enemy at my location. Just spend 2 resources. 1, 2, leaving me with 2 to be able to just pick off the whippoorwills. Cool. Thank you, small favor. That is not a small favor. That is a very big favor. And now I don't have to deal with the whippoorwills flying in and trying to mess us up in the hidden chamber. And that's it for Skids. I'm not going to spend his final 2 resources to take another action. So we're done there. Could really like to see a watch this or something like that with Skids. Would be great right now. And that's the investigation phase. Enemy phase. Silas Bishop rears back and smacks Daisy in the face for 2 health and 2 sanity. And I will take them both on Mr. Rook. So Mr. Rook has 2 and 2 as his soak. So thank you, sir. Greatly appreciated. And we are moving on. The mobster is going to ready back up, but does not hunt. Skids will draw a card. I draw an emergency cash. Whew, that is good to see right now. And then I will take a resource, putting me at 3. Daisy will reset. She will draw a premonition. Okay, that lets me use my deductions with, yeah, I can give my deductions to Skids and let him premonish. Premonish, is that a word? I'm going to call it a word. And then I'll take a resource, putting me at 3. All right, coming down to it. Mythos phase, 3 out of 6, Doom. Encounter card for Skids is a Rotting Remains. Woof. Okay, well this could be, as Rotting Remains tend to be, this could be the end of Skids. So this is test willpower 3. I do not have a high roller. Oh, I do have a high roller available. Yeah, I haven't used it yet this round. I have 3 resources. Well, we'll be doing that. So I will go ahead and high roller this check. So I'm at 4 to 3. Oh, I can't commit. I'll commit the Elder Sign Amulet. I don't know that I'm going to have the money to get that into play. So I'll commit it. And that gives me 2 more bonus. So that puts me at 6 to 3. And the Chaos Bag says -1. Okay, so we have avoided the Rotting Remains blowing us up. And I get my 3 resources back. Thank you, High Roller. Man, that card is great. I need another one of those for Skids. All right, and then we go to Daisy's encounter phase, which is also a Rotting Remains. Okay, so this isn't bad for Daisy. She's right now sitting at 4 to 3 before the check. I could just cancel it. But that's not bad enough to cancel. That's not going to ruin my day, so I'm going to go ahead and just 4 to 3 before the check. I have a St. Hubert's Key to suck up some horde loss. I will commit my Dr. Henry Armitage to this test. So that's going to, 2 wilds is 6 to 3. And the Chaos Bag hath given me an Elder Sign. And you might think, hooray, an Elder Sign. But no. Daisy's got the Necronomicon, the John Dee translation, which means that is an auto fail. So I will lose Dr. Henry Armitage, and I will take 3 horror from the rotting remains. Ouch. All right, so that 3 horror goes directly onto Daisy because I don't have anybody out for soak right now. And that puts her at 6 out of 9. All right, the St. Hubert's Key does protect me a little bit here. So let's just try to dive in and grab some clues. We are free from enemies at this point, so we just need to grab 10 clues as fast as we possibly can. So Skids can get a couple of them. Let's go first with Skids. I am going to spend the 3 resources on a lockpicks. Yep. So that takes me down to 0. The lockpicks comes into play with 3 supplies. 1, 2, 3. I will move into the hidden chamber. What's my plan for getting hit by Silas Bishop? That's a good question. I can take 1 shot from him. Nope, that's not what I'm doing. I'm backing that up. Skids will not play a lockpicks. That place is too dangerous for Skids right now. So action number 1, I'm going to get my 3 resources back here. Action number 1, I'm going to play an emergency cash for 3, putting me at 6. Action number 2, I am going to take a resource. And action number 3, I'm going to take another resource. So my thought here is Skids is saving up for an intel report to grab a couple of clues off of that location. He's better use outside the room buying a couple clues out of there than he is in the room potentially grabbing a clue until I can swoop in and grab the last one with a lockpicks if that can work. So that's my plan right now. That also leaves me enough to be able to pay for High Roller in case I get a bad Mythos phase card. So it's a bit of a hedging your bets sort of a move, but Silas is massive and he will hit you in the face for a lot of damage. So you need to be out of the room or have a plan. Skids can also duck out of the room, but I need resources for that. So next round I can go in, grab 2, and get out. So here we go. Daisy is going to investigate 3 times. We're going to try to grab a whole bunch of clues. So 7 to 3 on the investigate. And that is a -2. Okay, that's first clue. Second clue, 7 to 3. A 0. That's another clue. Third clue, 7 to 3. That's a -1. Okay, so I got all 3 clues. I will take my tome action to grab 2 resources from the Necronomicon. So I can get a Mr. Rook down into play next rounds to take the hit for me. So I took 3 clues out of the room. That puts the room at 7. So now we're starting to get into range where I could grab all of them next round. And that's it for Daisy. She will Chronophobia into another horror. And that is 7 of 9. Yep. And then enemy phase. Silas Bishop will smack Daisy in the face, and that will do 2 damage, which she doesn't have any damage yet. So she'll take 2. and 2 horror, which would make her 9 of 9. So I take the 2 horror, and then I'm going to, when I would be defeated by horror, discard St. Hubert's Key and immediately heal 2 horror. So that puts me back at 5. Oh, shoot. That is wrong. St. Hubert's Key actually gives you -2 sanity. So hold on one second. Let me back this up. So when I took the chronophobia, that would have actually taken me out. Yeah. So the chronophobia actually would have been enough to knock out St. Hubert's Key, which would have taken me back to 5. And then Silas hits me and puts me at 7. Okay, so I'm back to 6 investigate. And I'm at 7 horror out of 9. Okay, that's that. I do have a pretty good chance of being able to heal some horror. We'll see. Hopefully I can just get this thing done with. Okay, that was the enemy phase. Yeah, the mobster doesn't hunt. There are no other enemies, so we reset. So Skids will reset and draw. Oh, hospital debts. First time I've drawn this. Put hospital debts into play in your threat area. Move a resource twice per round. Move a resource. When the game ends, if you have fewer than 6 resources on it, you earn 2 fewer this scenario. Okay, well that's just unfortunate timing because I'm not going to have enough time to deal with those hospital debts. So I'm just going to have to suffer through the loss of 2 experience. But it is what it is. And Skids will take a resource. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then Daisy will reset. Draw a card. She drew a banish spell. Okay, well that doesn't really help right now, but it does have a evasion icon. And I take a resource, putting me at 6. Okay, Mythos phase. Doom 4 out of 6. Boy, this turn is what it's all about, right? This is why we play. So, Skids draws. Oh, eager for death. Well, he is eager for death. So this is going to be a willpower 5 check for him. If I fail, take 2 horror. Okay, it doesn't kill him because I'm going to fail this. I am not going to high roller that. That's just throwing away money. So I'm testing 2 to 5. I got a -2. Okay, so I failed that by 5. So I take 2 horror. All right. So that 2 horror goes on to Skids directly. I have actually not drawn any of my allies this game. I haven't drawn a beat cop. I haven't drawn a guard dog. I haven't drawn Dr. Francis Morgan. Nothing. I also haven't seen my fun little mirror, which would come in very handy right now. But, okay, Skids, we'll call that a successful Mythos phase because he ain't dead. And Daisy will draw, oh dear, a Rotting Remains. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, so here's the choices. I can risk this test by committing a couple cards to this. Nope, 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 nope. So if I cancel this with Ward of Protection, I'm going to take a horror, which puts me at 8 out of 9. Then I have to get all of the clues. I have to succeed at getting all of the clues, or the chronophobia will kill me at the end of the round. I am going to risk this test because I'm going to try to get out of this with no horror. Oh my God, this is a terrible decision. All right, so I'm at 4. Oh, I'm not at 4 because I don't have a St. Hubert's key anymore. So now I'm at 3-3. What could I commit to this? Nothing of note. Nope, I'm gonna go ahead and water protection. So, yikes. I'll spend 1 with water protection, and I will cancel the rotting remains. And I will take a horror, putting me at 8 out of 9. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's do this. I need to go first with Skids to see how many he can get, because if he can get 3, there are 7 left. If he can get 3, Daisy then only needs to get 4 with 2 deductions in hand. Okay, that's not bad. So let's go first with Skids. I will move in with Skids for my first action. I will play Intel Report for my second action. And I will upgrade it by 2 resources. I will spend 4, which leaves me with 5. I will spend 4 to discover 2 clues at my location. So grab 2 clues from here. Let's grab that 3, and I'll take 2 and put 1 back. All right, so that's 5 clues remaining. And then I will spend 3 to play a lockpicks. One, two, 3. And the lockpicks comes into play with 3 supplies on it. And then I will spend my last 2 resources, exactly enough resources, to take a 4th action and search for a clue with those lockpicks. So I am adding my willpower to this. So this is a 7-3 on this check. And the chaos bag dishes me out a 0. All right, so that's successful. I do not, I exhaust the lockpicks. I do not lose a charge, not like that matters, but I grab another clue. So that leaves only 4 clues for Daisy to get to advance this. Okay, it's certainly possible. I will start this party by playing a premonition. So let's see what I premonish. All right. Premonition shows me a skull. Okay. So skulls are -4. So that means I need to be up by 4 in order to succeed. So I will investigate. I am at 6-3. That's obviously not enough. So I will throw in an archaic glyphs for the extra intellect icon to go 7-3. And I will grab a clue. And that's the premonition. Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't play deduction on that. And that's because I'm going to gamble on the deductions. This is going to a little bit of an eggs and basket situation, but it was going to be no matter how I did it. And I was going to have to hope for the best. So I'm going to spend my second action to throw 2 deductions in. And I'm going to investigate at 8-3. And if this is successful, I win. And the token pull on this is an Elder Thing. -3, that is successful. I grabbed the final 3 clues with my 2 deductions. And that is enough to clear the location of its 11 clues and advance. Whew. If there are no clues in the hidden chamber, advance. Despite the danger, you brave the beast's horrifying presence and investigate further before killing it. What you find confirms your worst suspicions. Several journal entries written by a Seth Bishop describe the process of feeding the creature in horrifying detail. Tomatoes at first, then small game, then cattle, and then finally, quote, human sacrifices. But the most disturbing part is that Seth calls the creature by name, Silas. If the Necronomicon, Olaios Wormius translation, is in play, Resolution 2, and it is. So we are getting the somewhat rare Resolution 2 here. I think I've only seen this one other time before. Now, notably, oh, by the way, yay! Congratulations, Daisy and Skids, for making it through. That was close. Man, oh man, both Daisy and Skids are 1 sanity away from being dead. Daisy would have died at the end of the round if she had not succeeded at that because of chronophobia. I had to opt not to get rid of chronophobia, and I didn't have any of my healing. I didn't draw any of it, and I used all my soak except for a Mr. Rook that's in my hand. He could take the hit from Silas, but the problem is that you can't put the chronophobia on your allies. That has to go on yourself. Also, Silas's attack would have killed Skids as well. So we were all in right there at the end. But that's what makes it fun. That was really cool. Resolution 2 is kind of neat. So let's go ahead and read Resolution 2 for Blood on the Altar. Obviously, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know how this plays out. With the creature that was once Silas lashing out at you from its chains, you have little time to react. Knowing that the Necronomicon might have a spell or incantation that could subdue Silas, you fend off the abomination long enough to find a passage that can help. With no time to spare, you recite the Latin incantation and find that the words come effortlessly to your tongue, as though recalled from an earlier memory. The creature's body begins to shrink and melt away as the incantation builds, its cries terrifying and haunting. In the end, all that is left is the disfigured corpse of a man, Silas Bishop. You find a silver pendant emblazoned with an odd constellation tucked into his shirt. You take it with you, hoping to find a use for it. In your campaign log, record that the investigators restored Silas Bishop. In the campaign log under Sacrificed to Yog-Sothoth, record the names of each unique card under the agenda deck. Each of those cards are removed from all players' decks and can no longer be included in any player's deck for the remainder of the campaign. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display, which I believe is only the 2 from the end, the 2 from the hidden chamber. And I gain 2 additional bonus experiences. I gain insight into the hidden world of the mythos. Proceed to Interlude 2, the survivors. So I will earn 4 XP, 4 VP, as a result of this scenario. And I have restored Silas Bishop, which has some interesting implications later. Skids is only going to unfortunately earn 2 XP because of the hospital debts that I didn't have time to deal with. But that happens to Skids sometimes. It hasn't happened to him yet, so I guess I got lucky in that way. I think I milked all the VP you can get out of this scenario. Are there VP enemies in the deck? I don't remember. I would think there'd be at least one, right? That's a negative. No, there are no VP enemies in the deck at all. And there are also no VP locations in play. So it was pretty much just the hidden chamber and then the 2 bonus that I got for the resolution that I picked. So couldn't have done any better. So hooray, no trauma taken. And we are moving on to the next scenario, which is Undimensioned and Unseen, also known as Skids O'Toole's least favorite scenario. I will probably be very conservative in that scenario, given the fact that you need willpower to be able to dish out damage to the bad guys, and neither one of my characters are particularly great at that. See if we can't maybe kill 1, maybe 2 abominations, but we'll get to that, cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, thanks for listening. You've been watching I've Got a Plan, and the Return to the Blood on the Altar scenario. If you'd like to reach me, I can be found at I've Got a Plan podcast on Facebook. You can find me on SoundCloud at Tim Paul or Tim Paul I've Got a Plan. You can also search for me under the name Huckman T on Facebook, or also on the Reddit for Arkham Horror the card game under Huckman T. You can also find me on the Discord channels for the Mythos Busters and for the Drawn to the Flame podcasts, both of which I support and who have inspired me to do what I do. And you can also contact me anytime. My email is below at tpfiscus@gmail.com. I've enjoyed putting this out for you tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed a great scenario. We'll see you next time. Let's have fun.